The world we live in has always been defined by power, competition, and the pursuit of influence. Throughout history, nations have risen and fallen, empires have expanded and collapsed, and technology has been invented both to protect and to conquer. In the 21st century, this global contest has narrowed into a central rivalry between two superpowers, the United States of America and the People's Republic of China. This is not merely a military confrontation. It is a clash of economies, technological visions, strategic cultures, and historical narratives. It is a contest over who will write the rules of the next century and who will enforce them. For 75 years after 1945, the United States held the central position in the global order. Its factories produced goods for the world. Its universities created knowledge that spread internationally, and its military power ensured that no rival could challenge its influence openly. American aircraft carriers patrolled the oceans, American satellites monitored the skies, and the US dollar became the global currency that lubricated trade. The post-war reconstruction of Europe and Japan cemented US influence, while Silicon Valley and Wall Street turned innovation and capital into instruments of global dominance. American leadership was both economic and ideological, shaping the rules of governance, trade, and security across continents. China, in contrast, endured a century of upheaval and humiliation. For much of the 20th century, it was a fractured agrarian society, weakened by internal strife and foreign invasions. But beginning in the late 1970s, China initiated a dramatic transformation. Economic reforms, industrialization, and an export-led growth strategy propelled the country from relative obscurity into a central player on the world stage. Urban skylines replaced rice paddies, factories expanded to unprecedented scale, and millions of people moved from rural villages into cities. China became essential not only as a factory for global production, but as a market, a financier, and a technological partner. This rise was carefully managed. The Chinese Communist Party established a system combining political control with market incentives, producing an economic miracle. With newfound wealth came military investment. The People's Liberation Army modernized rapidly, developing new weapons, expanding its navy, and investing in space and cyber capabilities. China's strategic goal was not necessarily global conquest, but regional security and influence, ensuring no foreign power could decisively intervene in its periphery. Reunification with Taiwan and regional dominance became central objectives, backed by military, economic, and diplomatic tools. Technology became a defining battlefield. Whoever controlled the standards for 5G, artificial intelligence, quantum communications, and semiconductor production would hold an outsized advantage in both civilian and military spheres. China pursued indigenous innovation to reduce reliance on foreign suppliers, while the United States imposed export restrictions and sought to decouple critical sectors. This battle for technological dominance extended into global supply chains, financial systems, and industrial policy, creating high stakes for every decision. Trade tensions escalated into a full-blown trade war in 2018. The U.S. imposed tariffs on Chinese goods, and China retaliated. Global markets fluctuated, and companies scrambled to adapt. Both nations realized that economic interdependence carried strategic risk, and they began preparing for partial decoupling. American firms moved production out of China, while China invested in domestic industries to reduce vulnerabilities. This economic rivalry fed into the broader strategic contest, heightening the potential for miscalculation. Taiwan remained the most sensitive flashpoint. For Beijing, Taiwan represented sovereignty, historical memory, and domestic legitimacy. For Washington, Taiwan was a democracy, a strategic partner, and a test of U.S. credibility. Military exercises, patrols, and displays of force became routine across the Taiwan Strait, and analysts warned that any incident could escalate rapidly. The island's semiconductor industry further heightened its strategic importance, making it a linchpin of global technology supply chains. Global repercussions. The COVID-19 pandemic intensified tensions. The United States accused China of mismanagement and concealment, while China criticized American responses. Supply chain vulnerabilities became apparent, prompting nations to rethink dependencies. Both powers expanded domestic capabilities and strengthened resilience in preparation for future crises, recognizing that global interdependence could also create strategic risks. By the mid-2020s, the rivalry was clear. It was no longer just military or economic. It was a comprehensive competition for influence, technology, and ideology. The United States sought to maintain global leadership, while China aimed to reclaim regional and international prominence. Both nations prepared for contingencies, knowing that missteps could trigger rapid escalation. Trust was minimal, and every move was scrutinized for potential threat. The world was entering a new era, defined by a rivalry that shaped the future of global order. The South China Sea presented additional friction. Disputed maritime claims, shipping lanes, and resource access became central points of contention. China built artificial islands with missile batteries, radar. Global repercussions. The COVID-19 pandemic intensified tensions. The United States accused China of mismanagement and concealment, while China criticized American responses. Supply chain vulnerabilities became apparent, prompting nations to rethink dependencies. Both powers expanded domestic capabilities and strengthened resilience in preparation for future crises, recognizing that global interdependence could also create strategic risks. By the mid-2020s, the rivalry was clear. It was no longer just military or economic. It was a comprehensive competition for influence, technology, and ideology. The United States sought to maintain global leadership, while China aimed to reclaim regional and international prominence. Both nations prepared for contingencies, knowing that missteps could trigger rapid escalation. Trust was minimal, and every move was scrutinized for potential threat. The world was entering a new era, defined by a rivalry that shaped the future of global order.